The man stares into his face in the mirror. If he hadn't trained it to look impassive, it would be decorated with a snarl. Instead, his rock-solid stare shows stony calm, only interrupted by the stress lines gouged across his face. The crags and cracks he's examining are expenses he gladly pays for the pleasures he's had leading up to his present state. They're not his only expense. Nevertheless, he's still classically stylish. Tall, dark, Italian, handsome, tanned, bright blue eyes hidden behind real glass sunglasses. As he reflects upon his reflection, he knows that everything about him is cool, like a diamond, growing from the tip of his ice-cold mind, from inside to out, spreading through rich clothes and a rich, self-confident poise. The black pinstripe shirt under the crisp cream suit seems particularly stylish to him right now. This sort of get-up is an expense detectable to most women from 500 meters. He's so cool that ice wouldn't melt in his heart. His image is worth all he pays for it, and all he must do to keep the cash flowing. He looks down at the gleaming key he holds in his slightly shaking hand. Blocking one nostril with his free forefinger knuckle, he snorts a potent blast of powder off the gleaming edge. He thinks the coke turns on a chip inside him, allowing him to program his mind how he wants. He repeats the process for the other nostril. Bravissimo! He blocks both nostrils in turn to snort his nasal passages clear. Then he steadies himself against the wall of the cramped toilet cubicle as it sways under the judder of turbulence. Still shaking slightly through the chill of the numb shock sparkling along his nose, he conscientiously calms himself down. Unlocking the cubicle door, he glides android-like down the aisle. The chirpy stewardess smiles to him, and he convincingly smiles back. He's merely an aging Italian wolf in a hand-tailored suit. He flashes his watch at her subliminally. To sit, he has to maneuver past the neighbouring passenger. The man's tie is so loosened around his unbuttoned collar it resembles a noose. The men nod to each other, and the businessman helps himself with nervousness to his whiskey, not gulping at it compulsively as sunlight above the clouds pierces the window. There are only 12 people in the first-class lounge of this sky coach as it cruises the rarefied air. The Italian has the window seat, and hence a clear view of the bright blue world beyond. As he sips his vodka martini, he studies the clouds through the porthole, then watches the toy buildings and model trees of London ascend into view as the plane clears the cloud cover. It banks to make a long, slow turn towards Heathrow. He hadn't had time to prepare as much as he would have liked before he caught the flight. It could be a lucrative job he's coming to do, so he wouldn't have minded a lot more information before he got on the plane. At least this way he can kill 3 birds with 1 stone, as they say here. I don't mind flying really, the businessman in the seat suddenly says, darting his eyes around him in evidence of his apparent self-deceit. Then he adds for clarity, it's the taking off and landing I don't like. The Italian mutters only a curt, uncommitted growl in a studied feral manner. He doesn't like having to converse unnecessarily, but he does want to seem just like a businessman himself, so he replies, I enjoy entering new territories. They always offer so many possibilities. His rival says, I try to forge a life in the pages of magazines. I'm flying back from a telecommunications conference in Milan. I find it hard to see coming back home as a bonus. Stress and strain in the rain, you know. I'm sure you know what it's like. I'm in the telecommunications business myself. Net and TV, in fact, Italian response. He isn't about to reveal the other half of his business to his new friend, but now his companion's interested. He takes a rush swallow of his scotch and asks eagerly, Really? Maybe you're here to do the sort of thing I was doing in Milan. I was helping cement international relations, as they call it. I'm trying to get our firm to make the most of expanding opportunities. We're just entering a merge with an Italian company, and I went over to help sift through the details. His eyes begin to glaze over in a glow of fond recollection of very constructive meetings. The Italian diplomatically interrupts. I am also here to help merge businesses. His eyes laugh unseen behind his sunglasses as he realizes the honest but ironic undercurrent. Beneath the glossy surface of respectability, a depth of designs it would be inauspicious for him to reveal to this half-drunk and wary rival. So the Italian only adds, with a simpatico smile, we will be creating one of the biggest companies in Europe. Very contemporary and very sharp. Good-o! Onwards and upwards, eh? The businessman says, glancing fleetingly past his colleague, out the window, at the ground the plane is fast descending towards. The Italian temporarily feels slight regret that he will not see the poison he dropped in his competitor's whiskey take its effect. But the compound's an incubus. It's designed to give its victim a heart attack as they hit the peak of REM sleep. The delay will obscure their meeting. He hopes his last dreams are sweet. As he stares into the magazine man's worried eyes, the Italian thinks, this is the last day of your life. It seems to me that you're not making the most of it. His rival says, every time I leave my wife on a trip, she doesn't speak to me for a week, never mind touching me. But get this is the really ironic part. She says the reason she gets upset when I'm not around is because she has no one to talk to. Isn't that ridiculous? The Italian grunts his comprehension but glances away at the stewardess, pouring a very large shot of stress buster into an executive's glass. He turns back to his neighbour to growl without humour. You should try locking her in the bathroom. Think of it as negative conditioning, if you like. As the seatbelt signs light up, the two men smile grimly. The sweating businessman drains his poison with nervous speed. Here we go, he says. As the concrete approaches from below, the Italian seizes the opportunity to stare out the window. He thinks of the many opportunities ahead which he'll be helping to open up, always with a needle or two, maybe with a little blackmail, and inevitably by the power of the gun when expedient. The cartel is grabbing the emerging New World Order by the throat, but subtly in the shadows, as is its way. Thus the executive of tomorrow flies in, air cushioned upon the gentlest of breezes, from New York via Milan to London. So he leans back in his chair, serenely gloating. Stretching his legs out, he waits for the plane to touch the ground.